Besties, it is so cold and I am so ready for the sun to come back and for spring to arrive. So I'm gonna need some cozy books to push through this last bit of winter. Hi besties, I'm Annie. Let's reset for Feb. We are nearing the end of winter, thank goodness. I am not a winter girly in any way, shape or form. I am a summer girly. Give me that sun, give me the warmth. Let me just like lay out on the beach, go outside, do all of my outdoor activities. I'm so excited for the summer to come back. I am so excited for the sun and the warmth. I am really over winter. We had like maybe one day of snow where I live and it was like the lightest sprinkling you've ever seen in your life. It was barely worth it, but of course no one around here can drive in the snow because we don't get it. So as soon as the snow comes, everyone's like, oh my god, panic. It was a whole thing. But I know I would usually start these resets by going over everything I read in the last month, but I think we need to start with the obvious, and that is changing around this room. Let me tell you, I was just feeling so stale, besties, sitting in this corner. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I next to never sat in this corner. I would always just avoid it. If I wasn't recording, I was not here. I was laying on the bed, sitting in my office chair, you know, literally everywhere else in the house except for sitting here in my reading nook, which is insane and defeats the entire point of having a reading nook. And I am so lucky to be able to have one, and I realized that, and the fact that I wasn't using it was a huge issue. So literally one Sunday I just woke up and went, no, today's the day, I'm fixing it, I'm changing it, I'm doing it today. No one can tell me no. I don't care if I'm here from 9 AM till 9 PM, like I'm just doing it. Thankfully it didn't take me quite that long, but it was a lot of work. It did take me quite a few hours, but honestly it was so worth it. The corner with the books, like aesthetically so pleasing, practically we were losing so much space in this room, and this isn't like the biggest room to begin with. Losing space in any way, shape or form was just like really cutting off a lot, and it just felt like such a dead space in the corner because the door is like right there. You would like walk into this dead space and then you'd have the bed, which we worked really hard to like make the bed super cozy and comfy, and I do really want to paint this room, and it will be this like really lovely like warm leather brown when we paint it, so it'll be like so uber cozy and just like perfect space for hanging out and just like leaving the world at the door, escaping into books, having a really good restful night's sleep, and I'm so excited for that. But just like having this dead corner as soon as you walk in was just not the vibe. So I planned out a couple of different ways to do this, and this ended up being what we went with having the two bookcases here, and then you guys are sat right in front of my last bookcase. I was also finding that I was losing the bottom two shelves for storage because of where the chair was, because there wasn't really any space to move the chair away from the bookcases because of the space issue. Like I said, I was losing so much space, so like my bookshelves looked like really full, which was great in one regard, and then I was like, oh, I should really stop buying books and my bookshelves are full, and I was like, wait, I'm losing so much space. We have fixed it. That was like a whole day's worth of work. It took a lot of effort. I was like dying by the end of it. Bear in mind, like I'm not a weightlifting girly. I don't do that, so this was like a lot for me to do completely on my own. These bookshelves are heavy, and yes, I was too lazy to like take everything off all the time. I got to a point in the day where I was like, do you know what, like just put your back into it, Anna, you'll be fine. We have changed around the bookcases, and already in the last like 2 weeks since I did this, I have spent so much time in this room. Like instead of sitting in front of my computer on Discord chatting to my friends about reading, I have been in here with like Discord on my phone connected into everyone, so like still part of the conversation, but I have been in here in this chair on the bed. Like this has just really changed the vibe of the space, and I'm so happy about it. Besties, let me drink my tea before she gets cold, because you know I do this every single time. I've had to change my oat milk in my tea because the one that I was buying for so long has now been discontinued, and then the one that I was buying second to that gone up to like £2.50 for a litre, which is an astronomical price, and I just don't want to pay that much money. I don't drink oat milk because I like oat milk. I drink oat milk because cow's milk hates me. It's not my choice. I don't want to be paying that much money. It's insane. All right, let's talk about what we read last month. Honestly, Besties, January was an iconic reading month. Like, what a way to start the year. I did do a lot on my Kindle. Look, she was just the vibe at the moment. It was also, again, it was one of those, it was super accessible to me to just read on my Kindle. But we started off the year by rereading Quicksilver by Callie Hart. I realise you guys can't really see this cover super well, so we'll bin the dust jacket and we'll just go with this, right? So we reread Quicksilver by Callie Hart. 5 stars, 2 spice. She's iconic. I love her. The reason that I reread it is I've got Brimstone, which we'll be talking about in a little minute. I saw so many people online basically being like, I wish I'd reread Quicksilver before going into Brimstone. And whilst I have been dodging spoilers like my life depends on it, it was the one thing that kind of stuck with me, and I went, how much can I remember? I can remember like the main story, but in terms of like details, they were just not sticking in my brain. So I'm really glad I reread this, because there's even like some bits, and I was texting my friend about it who has read book 2 Brimstone as well, and I was like, I'm rereading this, and she was like, oh, I didn't. And then I was like pulling out all these like little key bits, and I was like, this just really hit this time, and she's like, I didn't even think about that. So that was like so nice to reread this and go back into this world heading into what is my February TBR. I read Free Again by Terry Farley. I think this is book 5 in the Phantom Stallion series, and this was a 4-star for me. I was so excited to read this book finally in the same season, like in real life, as what's in the book, because in the book there's this like big snowstorm, and that one day that we had like the most measly snow, I saw it and I was like, no, this is the day I'm starting this book. Like, I don't care what else is going on. I love this world. I love the Phantom Stallion series. It is technically a reread in the sense of, I remember reading the first one. I think I read 2 and 3. After that, I have zero recollection from when I was a kid. Whilst I would say it's half a reread, I think I'm at the point in the series now where it's like, I didn't actually get to read these, but it's so interesting reading middle grade as an adult, especially when I already have an attachment to these characters from when I was a kid. I feel like I'm reading it in a completely different light, and it's so much fun. Like, I'm reading it with like an adult perspective. So like when Sam goes off on her own and does something, or gets bad grades at school and she's like, I don't know what my dad's being so hard on me, like as an adult I'm like, oh my god, like girly, why are we going out by ourselves in the middle of the night? That's so dangerous. And then I read The Mating Game by Lana Ferguson, and I gave this 4.5 stars and 5 chilies. This is also part of my paranormal romance trope trials video, which came out last week, which I will link down below. And if you haven't watched it, you absolutely should, because trope trials is always so much fun. But this was so good. So our main girly Tess is an unknown Omega, and then our main guy Hunter is an Alpha. She goes to his like wintry lodge to basically do the place up. I'm really not going to tell you guys anything other than this, because this was just like such a fun experience, and I do go into it a lot in that trope trials video, so you'll have to go watch that for my thoughts. But honestly, this was so good. I ate this up. Then we've got Soul Searching by Lila Sage, which was also part of my paranormal romance trope trials, and I also gave this one 4.5 stars, but I only gave it 2 chilies. It was so much less spicier than The Mating Game, and again, you guys are gonna go have to watch that trope trials to find out what I thought of it. But honestly, like, there's so many like little bits in this book that just like make it so iconic, and it's so Lila Sage coded in the way of, yes, there's this overarching story, but it's the little details that make the story worth reading. Then we have The Wolf King by Lauren. I'm really sorry, I am 100% going to butcher your surname, and I don't want to be rude. Lauren P. And honestly, I gave this 5 stars and 2 chilies. I went into this being like, okay, my friend has recommended this to me, let's see what it's about. Like, she's meant to be like a princess, and she like goes off, it's like almost Beauty and the Beast-ish coded, and I was like, okay, like, so she's a princess and she's gonna be like really pathetic and useless and not gonna be able to do anything. I was kind of taken by surprise. She surprised me. Aurora really surprised me. I feel like she starts the book quite timid, quite reserved, but then as the book goes on and as she meets more people and starts to like really dive into this element of life that she's never experienced before and has been like so secluded from, she does really start to kind of find her feet and find her own voice, and I love that for her. There's part of this that feels like so similar to like so many other really popular romantasy books. Like, some of the dynamics I'm like, I've read this story before, but then there's enough uniqueness in there to be like, I've read this story before, but I like the twist. I like the little bit of spice that you've added to this. Not like spicy spice, but just like a little bit of difference, a little bit of seasoning, a little bit of uniqueness to it. And I really love that for this book. I did DNF or soft DNF. Now, I did soft DNF book 2. and it is entirely my fault. I got 41% in, and honestly, I will be returning back to this book. I next to never read books back to back. I don't binge series. I don't binge like the same thing back to back to back. Only thing that I would say that I read similar back to back would be Trope Trials videos, and it was entirely my fault going straight into this book, because at the end of book one you get this like wonderful ending, and I was like, oh my god, tell me more. And I went straight into book two, and I sat there with it, and I was like, is this gonna get good? Is this gonna give me that same feeling as the end of book one gave me? Which obviously it's not, because it's a whole book on its own. Like, you're not just gonna have that end of book feeling for the whole of book two. That would just be awful. I sat with it and I just went, I'm just bored of these characters. I'm bored of this story. I want to move away from this world for a minute. I want to move away from these characters for a minute. I need something else. And that's just a me thing. I will be returning to the book because I think it was like going really well, and it felt like it was like about to hit like a really important point. And then if you keep up with my Fable, which is linked down below, if you don't, you really should, you will see that I also DNF'd, hard DNF'd, Morning Glory Milking Farm by C.M. Nascosta. I was recommended this book by 3 different people on 3 different occasions, and they were like, oh my god, it's so good. It's got this premise of something that like should be super uber spicy and like a little bit creepy, and like, yes, it is spicy. It still has this really nice love story in it. I will read pretty nearly anything once. If I've not tried it, I can't tell you if I like it or not. I was influenced, besties, and I'm not convinced it was for the best. For me, this one's a pass. There was like, I get what people are saying. It's a premise that should be spicy. It's a premise that could be creepy, because the way that our main girlie Violet sees her job, she's like, a job is a job, it pays my bills, I need to eat, I need to exist, I need to live, so it just does that. And I'm like, okay, cool, like, you know, fair enough, good for you. I'm purposely not giving you like super details about this. You can read the blurb yourself and you'll get the vibe. You can look at the cover and you'll get the vibe. There was a little cutesy romance blooming, but it's like they go out for coffee and she starts imagining, or rather remembering, elements of him related to her job, and it's this really weird narrative in terms of like, you do kind of jump around a bit, where she's like talking about one thing like because she's like setting up for a client at her job, and then boom, we're going off to talk about our family. What is happening? And it's just like these like real random, I guess, sidebar comments. If it's like, you know, if we're doing something cutesy, cozy, like going out on a little coffee date, like fun time, yeah, cute, be in the moment, isn't he so polite to have bought your drink? And then boom, we're thinking about him in a work situation, but it is now spicy when it isn't with anyone else. It's a little bit out there for my taste. Is the nicest way I can say it, because the people that recommended to me loved it, and I'm not here to yuck someone's yum. I'm just here to be honest with you guys. I realise I've just finished a cup of tea, but besties, I am so cold. Okay, besties, let's go over my loose TBR for the month. So starting off with the Kindle picks, I have Dark Birch Academy by Krista Graves, and I said that I will buddy read this with a friend. And honestly, I don't really know a huge amount about this. She suggested it. She was like, I can see that it's on your Fable want to read. It's been on there for a little while, so I can't really remember this book. And she was like, I really want to read it. I think it's a school setting. So the top here says best in dark fantasy romance reads, and then there's like a little blurb at the top that says, if Voldemort had a daughter, you'd get Esme Salem, dark, sexy and unique. A twisted, dark academia fantasy romance with dragons and witches. It sounds good. It sounds like a fun time. I'm gonna buddy read it with her, in a sense of I'm probably gonna take all month to get that far. She'll have finished it in about 5 minutes flat and be like, have you read it yet? Have you read it yet? Have you read it yet? And every time I'm gonna have to be like, no, I'll read it next, and then almost certainly I will get distracted by something else. I also still have Zodiac Academy, The Awakening as Told by the Boys to buddy read with my other friend, which is kind of hanging over me from January, but we're not exactly in a rush. Like, it's just at the bottom of our priority list at the moment, so that book is probably going to be hanging around for a little while until I get that far. And then we've got Paladin's Grace by T. Kingfisher, and I've seen Tori Between Pages and Kerry Reads here on YouTube read this and absolutely rave about it. And it says is a darkly whimsical, cozy fantasy featuring sock knitting paladins, badass perfumers, courtroom hijinks, and a heart-racing romance. It just sounds perfect to get me through this last little stretch of winter. I want something cozy, I want something silly, where we also play tabletop RPGs along similar veins to D&D. This just seemed like a perfect addition to my TBR. Then we've got The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy by Brigitte Knightley, and I am already like nearly halfway through this. Like my bookmark is here. I'm loving this. I am definitely gonna be reading more of this today as soon as I stop filming. I am probably gonna finish this very, very quickly. This is so funny. We've got our main girlie Orion, who's a healer, and then our main man Osric, who is kind of an assassin for hire. He's got this really bad like disease on his magic that he's like managed to convince her in one way or another to help him try and find a cure for it, but there is no known cure for it. This is so funny because one minute they're like beefing, throwing out comments to each other, and the next minute it's just like she's just like carrying on living her life, and it's that kind of like slice of life mixed with let's have a slow burn enemies to lovers vibe kind of thing. And I love it because they are like genuinely enemies by principle, as well as soon as they meet each other they're like, my god, there is something about you I just really hate, and it's so good. And then I've got To Cage a Wild Bird by Brooke Fast. This is a little more dystopian. I feel like I'm possibly stepping back into my dystopian era because of, you know, the state of the planet. I'm reading this as part of a book club over on Fable. It's run by Tori Between Pages, so we have 2 months to read our books. I only just recently managed to pick this up, so I have this beautiful, it's just like a plain sprayed edge, but you know, a sprayed edge is a sprayed edge, and I love the fact that the cover is not just plain black. You know how I hate just a plain black cover. This sounds so super interesting. I don't really know a huge amount about it. I read the first chapter deciding if I wanted to read this immediately. Our main girlie Reuben, yeah, is a notorious bounty hunter living on the edge of society, and she basically has currently been trying to find someone to basically take them, I guess, to prison. I don't really quite know. I only read like the first chapter, but this sounds really interesting and I'm reading it as part of a book club. And then finally we have Brimstone. I'm gonna take the cover off of this again because, you know, the dust jackets on these are really horrible. But we've got Brimstone by Callie Hart. I really, really desperately want to read this. This will probably be more towards the end of the month, honestly, to give me that space between 1 and 2. Like I said, number 1 gave me like a whole new perspective on some of the characters. I'm really excited to go into number 2, but I am dodging spoilers online like it is my dang job, honestly, because I loved it when, I can't remember what it was that came out. I think it might have been the latest Fourth Wing that came out, Onyx Storm. When that came out, everyone was posting, spoiler warning, don't go to the next slide if like you don't want spoilers, and there was like huge warnings about it. Where did that go? Why are we not still doing that? It's really frustrating. I'm low-key kind of avoiding my social media other than YouTube at the moment. I really have not been on social media, which is good for me because it means I've got more time to read and do other stuff. I am avoiding spoilers like it's my dang job. I've not even read the blurb for this, but I have it. So we will get to this towards the end of the month. So that is our TBR and Besties. You know we wouldn't be complete without talking about the bullet journal. February, of course. Valentine's Day, not that we particularly celebrate it in this household per se as like a uber special day, because it's like, well, I love you every day of the year, not just this one day. I did these cute little love letters. I made everything like pinky purple. I'm loving at the moment having like a color theme for each month, so I'll probably be continuing with that. But over on the mood board here, I've got my 3 big hardbacks here. We've got some bits about reading, some crafty stuff, baking, a bit of yoga, Pilates. We've also got a spin bike, which I want to get on more this year and do some like cardio fitness. I've also got like some buckets of paint down in the corner because I want to paint this room. I don't know if I'm gonna get to that quite yet because it does mean taking everything out of this room and I've got to find somewhere for it to all live for 5 minutes. The bed can like move into the middle of the room, that's fine, but like all of the books and stuff have got to leave this room and I currently don't have anywhere for them to go even for a few days. So that is a problem for another day. And then I'm still working through edits on my current fantasy romance novel. I will have a video coming out about that very, very soon. I'm currently working through developmental edits. I write very skinny first drafts. My first draft was like 30,000 words or something daft, but it is now starting to beef out a little bit. I'm putting in all of like the fun details, like giving you guys the immersion into the story, what things look like, and that's kind of where I'm at. Whereas my first draft is always like, they did this, they were here, they said this, they did that. Whereas now I'm like putting in all the bits that are fun to read. So then we've got a nice calendar, we've got a really super simple brain dump, and at the moment I've currently filled up most of this page with a little table of all the things that I need to buy in this pony game that I've been playing. But I just realized that I've gotten to the end of like the main story, so now the whole point of playing is just to get all the equipment and just like max out the ponies' stats and things. So I don't know how much of that I'll actually be playing now, or if I'll then just focus on Red Dead 2. But we've changed the layout for the weeklies a little bit. I will be going in and like putting in any appointments or things of note that I've got going on that day, and then obviously we've got loads of space for tasks. We then have the rolling task list as well. I've kept this one more vertical, whereas January was a bit more horizontal. It's just a little bit different. It's a lot less doodly than January was, and then we've just got a nice big space for a reading log. So again, a really nice, clean, super simple setup. You know, she does the job. She's here to do a job, and she does that very well, and we love her for it. Okay, besties, thank you so much for coming to hang out with me. I'm gonna go find a jumper in a minute. I'm gonna curl up. I'm probably even gonna get out the hot water bottle. I am so cold right now. But thank you so much for coming to hang out with me. Let me know in the comments down below, have you read any of the books that I read last month or that are on my TBR? Do you have any recommendations for me? Because you guys know, even though my TBR is like 1,000 miles long, you guys know I'm always looking for some more recommendations. Don't forget to follow me on my other socials down below. I spend a lot of my time on Fable at the moment, logging my reads, just like chilling out on there, chilling out in various different clubs. So do go hang out down there. So do go check all of my links down in the description below, and let me know if you guys have a bullet journal. Are you guys doing one this year? What is your theme for February? And yeah, I think that's it. So I hope you guys have an absolutely amazing Cozy Chaos day, and your next read is a 5-star. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!